streamers here in the Take offices came first and second. And Johan Sebastian, he's got some big shoes to fill after Bortnik played fantastic in the Dave Cave, but he's capable. 2 out of 2 so far for Grandmaster Johan Sebastian. Magnus Carlsen is playing fast today, winning 2 games in very quick fashion.
Yeah, very impressed by Magnus's play. His time handling, being a bit late, taking a few seconds at the beginning, those mouse slips, that's questionable. But Magnus actually played someone he beat last week in Title Tuesday, Matvey Galchenko on board too.
Yeah. Magnus with the black pieces, Hikaru here with the white pieces. Ooh, what's your feeling? Which game do you want to follow, David?
I know we followed Hikaru last time. I kind of want to see Magnus's next game with white.
Yeah.
So maybe we save Magnus for next. But Hikaru is playing like young Magnus.
In round 3 with the white pieces playing super fast.
That's right, and look at this. It looks like an opening battle. This came from the King's Indian defense. And here, Hikaru has my favorite pawn structure, Connect 4. Beautiful pawn chain. That doesn't mean you win automatically, unfortunately. And in the meantime, Ryo Chen looks like he's fighting hard. The Black Knight is about to come into the center. Black has control over all the dart squares, the Black Bishop as well. Beautiful piece. This could go any direction. Hikaru is not going to be happy with the outcome here either. I've got confirmation Ryo Chen is 15 years old, and look at this, much better, massively better against Hikaru.
Whoa!
Hikaru's struggling yet again. What's happening? It just feels like he's in trouble every game. Something off with his openings maybe, Hikaru. He's down on the clock this time too. And we see on his stream there, he's actually calculating sacrificing a pawn. It's that drastic right now just to create a square for the White Knight to jump into, because otherwise this Black Queen is creating a horrible pin. Hikaru in huge, huge trouble here.
What is up with Hikaru Nakamura? In trouble once again, this time with the white pieces. He's an expert at fighting back though and playing on the clock. Let's see if he can do that again.
Hikaru is frozen. His position's so bad that he's now spent about a minute just before sacrificing his pawn. As he was showing on his stream, he just desperately wants to get one of his knights into the center, maybe to look at the Black King later, but mainly to kick away this annoying queen. But he's self-pinning here. This Black Bishop was attacking the White Queen. It's blocked. We see a trio of pawns in the center, but one of them will drop. And Hikaru, I think he's going to be hating his position. We see him, he's not as energetic or happy as we normally see him on his stream. He's normally bouncing up and down.
Yeah. What is the big issue in his white possession?
Yeah, it's all about the dart squares. I'm expecting Black here. Ooh, he actually jumps in with the knight. I was going to say to take this pawn with the bishop. That bishop could never, ever be challenged. It's going to control half the board. Now the other knight's actually going to come to a dart square and will be supported by his bishop. Black will have a dart square bind. And it's actually mainly about the discomfort of this pin on the White Knight. The White Knight can never move because it's being stared down by the Black Queen. The White King is going to be in danger wherever it stands. And Hikaru sacrificing a rook for a knight now. This is just a pure gamble.
Wow.
This is not what he wants to be doing. He just felt it was so hopeless if he let that knight survive. But now this pawn in the center is dropping. He's banking on these double D pawns to step forward and make a new queen. But look at this. Hikaru is 2 rooks down. He's got 1 bishop in return. He's looking away in disgust. He's, okay, now got a bishop and knight in return for those 2 rooks. But mathematically, this is almost over.
Whoa, Ryo Chen, the 15-year-old, is massively better against Hikaru Nakamura. Both from the US. Hikaru must be a big idol to Ryo Chen. And here he is massively better. With less than 3 minutes on the clock though, can he make it all the way to get that full point to win against Hikaru? Trouble for the big champion.
Yeah, and there's so many players in the Grand Swiss from the US, youngsters, teenagers, Abhimanyu Mishra and Andy Woodward, who came top 10.
Yeah.
And the other US youngsters, now the teenagers, must be looking at that, taking inspiration. It's no longer just about Hikaru, about Wesley So, about Aronian. The American teenagers are coming to take over, and Hikaru in big, big trouble now. Black can do multiple things here. He's going to try and take this bishop off the board, remove that very strong piece, just for 1 rook. Maybe he'll come back now with a check, correct the mistake. But Hikaru, it's the clock again. That's his only hope in this game to save it.
But that is still a hope.
It is a hope.
Oh.
3 minutes, just under 3 minutes against 2. Ryo Chen here now threatening the black bishop coming out to give a check. That would win the white bishop next to the king. Oof. The more I think about it, the more I think this is just hopeless. Hikaru yet again shaking his head. The black rook moves away. There we see Ryo Chen.
Oh, nice.
So focused.
Look at that. Focus mode for Ryo Chen. Close to beating Hikaru Nakamura. And there it is. Wow, huge result in round 3. 15-year-old Ryo Chen beats Hikaru Nakamura. What do you think about that reaction, David? Look at that.
Wow. He's up and down. He's out of his chair. He's off to tell mum and dad that he's just beaten the world number 2. Hikaru resigning because he was actually about to get checked. Checkmated or about to lose his queen in that final position. That was disastrous from Hikaru, but full congratulations to Ryo Chen.
I love to see the celebration from the teenager. Massive joy for him. Congratulations to him. That's a huge result for a youngster against the second best player in the world. Maybe the best title Tuesday player of all time, Hikaru Nakamura, struggling. Of the time format now with 0 increment.
Yeah, I mean, Hikaru in an interview, he said that would favor him. He's so quick on the mouse, he's so used to flagging opponents. When Hikaru streams, he always plays 3+0, so he should be used to this. It just feels like a lack of energy. Like, he's been very busy. He's been playing a lot in the US. He's been playing tournaments, flying around, getting those rating points. Maybe he's just a bit tired.
He might be losing to Magnus with only 1 minute left on this clock as well. Magnus now threatening a nasty checkmate that's going to force the white queen to jump back.
Hikaru, but very uncharacteristic.
Might take Magnus a while, but he's trying to come in. Rook takes bishop now would be a huge trap to avoid. The black queen comes down to the bottom rank, and that's going to be a back rank checkmate against the white king. So the white rook will be forced to try and trade off Magnus. He's not any material up yet. And there we go, the first pawn drops, and it's just a problem of the white king being caught in a mating net for eternity. The opposite color bishops will not save white. The black bishop will actually guard his king perfectly. And Magnus bobbing his head there, very confident. Last week he won because of his clock handling. He was so quick. We saw him flag Alexander Bornik. And Magnus again, super speedy. He's moving in for the checkmate. He's very close to delivering the kiss of death. Mate now. White king is trapped. We'll see the white queen throw herself in the way after this check. She'll try and block. Galchenko, he's only surviving by the skin of his teeth. Magnus moving in for different pawns now. It's all about the H pawn, which is going to start pushing. Magnus Carlsen very close to going 1 full point ahead of Hikaru Nakamura, moving to 100%, 3 out of 3. And only a miracle could really save white now. It's not totally lost, but the clock, 15 seconds, makes it worse. It's tough times for the white king. Sticking his head out is never a good idea in blitz chess. You get checked, you get mated often, and look at this, the white bishop and queen desperately trying to block the diagonal. Magnus, though, he can do anything. He can start checking. He's got 1 extra minute over his opponent. The red clock. There, 7 seconds for white. White's about to lose on time. He's desperately trying to make moves and win. There we go. The white queen drops as well.
The clock in this game against Galchenko, and that's his face. Do you think he's
Yeah, it looks like we.
in the end here?
He's usually critical.
Yeah.
The only time Magnus doesn't criticize himself is when it's the final round and he wins.
might not get a rematch between them if Hikaru...
Earlier round in the previous Title Tuesdays, well, he was able to fight his way back, to fight in the top, before eventually ending up outside top 10, but Hikaru Nakamura, pressure's on. He needs to win his next games to fight for the victory here today. We do see still more than 20 players on 3 out of 3 as we're heading into round 4 in any second. There we have it. Magnus up against Shanglai, Marzulu, Shimanov. I guess Magnus is the one to follow with the white pieces. Will we see the birds opening that you guys have voted for him to play today?
I did promise it, so let's start with Magnus Carlsen and see what opening he chooses. But the opposition is getting tough for now, Kaya. He's up against his first GM of the day. Lu Shenlei is a very strong Chinese grandmaster. He played in the Grand Swiss, so he's been traveling most likely from Uzbekistan. And Magnus did play the birds opening. I can confirm. His pawn just landed on e4. He's trying to transpose to a Sicilian, so he's trying to get out of the birds opening as quickly as possible. But for those of you at home, he did start with his f4 on move 1, followed by the knight, followed by the e pawn. So Magnus, he's a man of his word.
Yeah. So thank you to everyone who voted for that opening in the Take Instagram. We'll do it again next week and every single week for Title Tuesday. You guys can join in and vote for one opening that Magnus will play. Today it was the birds opening, which was a fun coincidence because we had a bird flying into the studio earlier today, creating some chaos. It's now free, and Magnus is free and safe and good after playing the birds opening in this game.
Exactly. This is actually transposed to quite well known variation of the Sicilian, the close Sicilian. It's not got the best reputation necessarily for white, but it's chosen by those who just want to get out of the opening fast and it becomes a real battle. Magnus now depends on his mood, but we see the bar suddenly shift in his favour, and I have a feeling it's because he can start attacking before the Black King is able to escape the centre. Lu Shenlei, is he still in his hotel room in Uzbekistan after the Grand Swiss?
Maybe.
Looks likely. Looks like a hotel room either way. And Magnus though making moves. That knight is eating the Black Queen now. And big pressure. The birds opening looking like a stroke of genius now for white.
Shanglai, a 30-year-old from
And
China.
Magnus is ready to jump into those...
One of the great players from China. There's a bunch of them.
Many strong players. Ding Liren, of course, former champion. There's Wei Yi, there's Yu Yanyi, who did very well in the Grand Swiss. Lu Shenlei, he was okay out there in the Grand Swiss. I think he finished around 50%, so in the middle of the pack. So he famously played 27 classical games in 19 days recently, unbeaten.
Wow.
So it's a very strong player, hard to beat, but now he is very much struggling against Magnus Carlsen because look at the dark squares. They're like that type of cheese.
dart squares with his pieces.
Magnus is ready to jump into those dark squares with his pieces, invading black camp. Very good for white. Magnus may be missing this last move, attacking the white knight. That knight is needed as a defender of the central pawn here. So Lu Shenlei suddenly adjusting his camera, bit of a smile, looking a bit happier. The last move has gone in his favour. Magnus, will we see a shake of the head? Very confident right now though, as he drops his bishop in. He's going for checkmate, Magnus Carlsen. If he can somehow get his rooks involved, I was going to say the other rook, but this one's even better. Lift them towards the Black King. There's one avenue of attack. Is to bring his rook across, trade off the defender, the bishop, and then swing his queen in and deliver a very...
Deliver a very...
He's a pawn down, Magnus Carlsen, so this has to work. Or he will be in trouble.
What about Magnus's play and which moves make you say that you can see his ambition already is checkmate?
I think it's the last two moves. He gave up a pawn. He allowed his beautiful knight to be traded off on this square, and the Black Queen later captured the pawn. The first ambitious move was this one, Magnus. This is very well known. Black bishop was being countered. Means it's on the longest diagonal, so exchanging it often means the opponent's king is a bit weak. He's the best defender. The second ambitious move, rook lifts, rook swings, whatever you
pawn. And this one looks terminal now. I think Lu Shenlei panicked, self-destructed, and look at this.
very scary for the defenders around the Black King.
The bar swings the whole way across. Magnus is going to smell blood. Is it a bishop exchange first? Is it a rook sacrifice? Magnus has got checkmate on his mind. He can even throw his own pawn.
King?
It's actually a big threat to sacrifice this pawn, this rook now for this pawn.
sacrifice Liu Shenglei to realize he had to give up his queen just to stay in this game. Queen versus 2 rooks can be, so if Magnus' maths is correct, then a queen plus 2 is 12 and 2 rooks are 10. Magnus is up 2 points.
They keep playing massively better for Magnus Carlsen, but massively better also on the clock. Liu Shenglei is struggling against Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah, shake of the head. The pawns are coming though, and another check. This might end the game. The Black King now has to move away. It cannot step back because the rook in the corner would drop, and Magnus Carlsen wins on the brink of taking another pawn. He moves to 4 out of 4 as we head to the first break.
Wow. Magnus Carlsen, he's on 4 out of 4. Yeah, look at that. Playing fantastic chess today. It's going to start getting worse and worse, though, because after the first technical break, that's when the huge matchup starts coming in. A big win for Magnus Carlsen here with the white pieces playing the bird's opening, but that was no issue for him. And look at that, Ryo Chen after that amazing win against Hikaru Nakamura, celebrating like crazy. He lost here in round 4 against the super strong Sarana. Ryo Chen after that amazing win against Hikaru Nakamura, celebrating like crazy. He lost here in round 4 against the super strong Sarana. No easy opponent there for him. Meanwhile, a bunch of games still happening. Should we jump into Hikaru to see if he's able to make a comeback? Oh, he's already won his game. It's a comeback for Hikaru Nakamura. He wins in round 4. So still hope for the American to win Title Tuesday Game Week 3.
Hi, I'm going to take us to Johann Sebastian Christiansen,
Oh, I love it.
who's been doing very well so far. And look at this, he's massively better. The VAR says he's totally winning against Dmitry Andreikin, one of the best players in the world. One of Russia's top grandmasters who's played in the candidates before. Johann Sebastian brings his queen across. We're not quite finding the right way forward. I believe he could have been bringing his knight into the center and then just throwing his pawn down the board. This pawn is a potential, game winner there, promoting just 3 squares away. Still looking very good for Black though, because the king is so safe. So many pawns around it. White's king meanwhile, very, very good. He's on the brink of a big surprise, but count on time, Kaya. Has to move fast.
Oh, the bar keeps swinging. Look at the clock though for Johann Sebastian Christiansen. Can he win this game? Is it now back to balance? Has he blundered?
He has made a mistake. He's allowed the Black king now to be vulnerable. That was a brilliant bishop sacrifice by Andreikin. And now there's all sorts of ideas. There's a rook check at the top of the board to try and break the blockade, remove the defender, and even give checks with your queen. And there we go. Johann Sebastian is sacrificing his rook. And now he's reliant on giving some checks. He has to continue the checks forever, otherwise he's going to lose this game. Is this position a draw though? Can the white king escape? That's the big question. 20 seconds. He's going to try and use the queen to now blockade. This is looking very difficult for Johann Sebastian.
And that clock is going to tick down to red very, very soon. Oh.
This is the problem. The white queen is going to act as the bodyguard. He's going to defend the king. The checks have dried up. White just needs one more move. He needs to move the rook out of the way and anywhere even, and make a new queen with the b pawn. Draken though needs to find a safe square for his queen. He's up so much on time. Clock is going to decide this one. Draken, one of the coolest, calmest customers out there. Fair Play on YouTube is his streamer name.
9.
Wow, position of chess usually. What to do now? His queen is attacked. He needs something a bit special. Wherever he moves the queen, there are checks. Yeah, the black queen is going to drop back with the check.
But the clock was his main rival.
This is turning. He gives up his rook. He's going to try and make a new queen now. He's going to move his queen away first somewhere. And look at this, the b pawn about to promote. Johann Sebastian's down to 11 seconds, so 10, 9. Oh, the black queen is stuck. It's going to end poorly here for Johann Sebastian. And another queen's going to enter this board. 2 queens incoming. And here we go, the black queen traded off now. That will spell the end of this game. It's going to be timeout, resignation by Johann Sebastian Christensen. So close, but not close enough.
It's a win for Andreikin with the white pieces. Johann Sebastian here eventually losing the game. But the clock was his main rival here. Gives him the motivation to fight back after the technical break. Still a few games going on here in round 4. Max Zutlo keeps playing the long games, but he's playing some good chess as well. Is he on 3 out of 3? before this round.
He is. Both players there on 3 points, and it's a flag fest.
Ooh.
They're down to their last few seconds each. It's a dead drawn position. And Magzulu, times out, does he? It looks like a draw. Maybe by repetition, actually, because if he had timed out, White would have won. White had a pawn left, checkmating potential. Magzulu saving it by the skin of his teeth.
Ooh, all right, eventually a draw. Impressive stuff to be able to do that with so little time. All right, that's it after the first 4 rounds, you guys. We still have a bunch of players on the perfect score. Magnus Carlsen is one of those players. Keimer is also one of those players. Jan-Christoph Duda is also one of those players. A bunch of players here on 4 out of 4. What's the biggest surprise to see on the top pair for you, David?
Ooh, surprises. That one's tough. Off because they're all such good. Last week, there was so much drama. They played each other. Mavahed had a winning advantage against Magnus before disconnecting. So it could be a chance for revenge.
Oh, that's true. Well, we have it all in Title Tuesday. The time trouble, the brilliant moves, and the blunders. This is a lot of fun. The Premier League of chess.
Here we go.
A lot of drama already. The biggest drama, of course, being Hikaru Nakamura losing against a 15-year-old, an international master from the US. Let's do a action replay of the moment when that happened. And this one is presented by Lovable, our presenting partner, Lovable. And already here, we can see Ryo-chan is massively better against Hikaru.
Yeah, the opening just went wrong for Hikaru. He lost all control over the dark squares. He had a beautiful pawn formation, all white pawns on the light squares, but he just lost control, overextended. And here, desperation as he sacrificed a pawn, but miscalculation as well from Hikaru Nakamura, who didn't realize that the compensation wasn't sufficient. He wanted to get his knight into the center, but Ryo-chan, his next few moves, so accurate. First, he removes White's very strong knight from the center of the board, here breaking the pin. Next, he jumped in with his knights, and Ryo-chan, not just positionally, but strategically, just totally dominating Hikaru. This was where Hikaru decided he had to go a bit crazy, sacrificed both of his rooks, and one white rook is hanging to the black knight, the other knight attacking the queen, but the sacrifice is not enough. Hikaru just dropping too much material here, and he didn't even manage to put up much of a fight. The game only lasted 5-6 moves after this, as very uncharacteristic. Normally a great defender, Hikaru. There we go, the other rook dropped. That was the beginning of the end. The white pawns providing some counterplay, but just not sufficient. And we saw it on Hikaru's camera. He was furious with himself.
And it was fun when we had Ryo-chan joining us and winning against Hikaru Nakamura when he realized the celebration was huge. First, it seems like he can't even believe it. And then it's just like jumping up and down, screaming out loud. I love that chess can give you those kind of celebrations.
Exactly. I've no doubt he went to his parents there and was jumping for joy, maybe a family hug to celebrate. That's by far the biggest win of his career. He's very, very talented, Ryo-chan. I think he's the next American prodigy who's about to become a grandmaster. But either way, Hikaru not at his best. We have to congratulate Chen though.
Oh, definitely. And that was today's action replay presented by our presenting partner, Lovable. One of the fastest growing companies in Europe. It makes it possible for anyone with a good idea to create an app. You don't have to be a tech genius to create apps anymore. If you have a good idea and you use Lovable, you can make apps. It's really, really cool, actually. All right, we're heading into round 5, starting in only a few minutes or even seconds, you guys. Let's look out for the pairings. We are hoping a little bit for Magnus Carlsen up against Mavahed. A fantastic game in game week 2, where Mavahed was... if I remember correctly, he was massively better, even winning against Magnus when tech issues happened and he was disconnected and eventually lost that game. That was just heartbreaking to watch.
Yeah, I was watching the broadcast with you, with Robert Hess, with Christopher as well, and I could see Robert's heart breaking.
Yeah.
He felt so bad for him because he had this huge advantage, and yeah, you rarely get an advantage against Magnus, full stop. But to have it in such a kind of critical game and to be disconnected, I think he tried to reconnect for 2-3 minutes there, but unfortunately, that's technology sometimes.
Yeah, that is technology. So Magnus did get lucky in that one game last week, but he ended up with 10.5 out of 11 points, and he won Title Tuesday game week 2. But he's always fighting for 11 out of 11, the perfect score, as we see him getting ready for round 5, together with Johan Sebastian Christiansen in the Dave Cave. 11 out of 11. How rare is that?
It's extremely rare, Kaya. It's I believe only happened 7 times in Title Tuesday history.
Whoa.
Out of over 550 Title Tuesdays. And I mean, just to put that into perspective, Hikaru Nakamura has won Title Tuesday 106 times.
Oh, wow.
That's equivalent to like more than 2 years of Title Tuesdays, if you count week by week. And out of 106 victories for Hikaru, he's only made 11 out of 11, I believe, once. So you can win it without being perfect. But it's very rare.
Yeah. We will not see Magnus move ahead in this round. We do have Terry against Magnus, though. And Terry was one of the players that Robert brought up last week as one of the players to watch. He is an IM, as far as I remember.
Yep, Renato Terry.
Should we follow this game?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And Terry is one of those speed specialists from Peru who, yeah, he's beaten everyone, I believe, in speed chess at some point in his career. Super speedy. And here we see the game has begun. Talking of super speedy, he's already up 25 seconds on the clock against...
Wow.
Okay, the clock recorrects, but he's already up 15 seconds against Magnus Carlsen, and he's got a better position. His openings are super well-defined, Terry. He's played so much blitz chess in his life that I think he knows exactly what types of positions he enjoys, and he's very, very quick on the mouse, as we mentioned. So Magnus, this is not going to be easy for him. Magnus actually often kind of prefers players who are a bit slower, who try to beat him on the chessboard, so Magnus can hustle on both board and clock, but hard to hustle Renato Terry on the clock. And that white pawn stepping forward was so dangerous for the Black Knight that Magnus has been forced to play a move he is going to be hating. He's given away a beautiful square, a light square, that can never ever be challenged, an outpost for Terry to use later. But yeah, we've got to say Magnus starts as a big favorite, but we'll see how this one goes. The bishop does occupy the outpost as predicted, hitting the black rook. Now Magnus going for a trade. Renato Terry, I don't think I've ever seen him miss a Title Tuesday. So we've got to say one of the most consistent players out there.
Wow.
He doesn't play as much over the board as some of the others. So very much a specialist.
They have played against each other in Title Tuesday a bunch of times, Magnus Carlsen and Terry. The score is 11-1, as far as I can see.
I'm guessing not in Renato Terry's favor.
11-5, sorry.
Okay. It's not bad.
No, it is 11-1, actually. Yeah.
Okay.
It is 11-1.
That's not great.
Yeah, that's not great, but someone who can pose some problems to Magnus Carlsen on the clock, playing fast, but Magnus is also playing really fast today. I have to say, this no increment thing really is showing off the best of Magnus Carlsen.
Yeah, and kind of on paper, it should favor the younger players. Like, they're quicker on the mouse, they've got the speed of thought. The older players typically slow down with age, but Magnus showed in Riyadh at the Esports World Cup that lack of increment is not always a negative. And yeah, it just favors the players who are more confident, I think, overall, more experienced, who trust their instincts, as we see Renato Terry offer a queen trade. Magnus might be tempted, but if you trade queens, the white knight will replace that queen, and from there, the white knight will be staring at some very, very weak pawns. So big dilemma. If Magnus doesn't trade queens, the black knight is hit, the black pawn is hit. This is a bit of a sticky situation. No surprise that Magnus has burned his time advantage and more on this one move. A critical moment to trade or not to trade. Normally Magnus likes his endgames, but this might be the exception to the rule here.
He's definitely thinking about it. As we see Renato Terry joining us, that's great to see. An international master known for being very good, especially in this format. A perfect example that it is possible to specialize in chess and become especially good in the online blitz format that we're seeing in Title Tuesday. Playing really fast. He's up by 30 seconds on the clock.
Looking good for white this position. We see a trade, and okay, not a huge advantage, but something small to work with. First, this pawn is attacked. Magnus is going to be a bit annoyed that it's hard to defend that pawn. He might have to move his knight out the way to make way for his queen there, or he might have to look the counterplay on the other side of the board. There we go. Harry the h-pawn makes an appearance, and Magnus is trying to distract Terry here. That's the type of move you play when you're a bit scared and you want to turn it around and scare your opponent instead. Doesn't really threaten anything short term, but the white king doesn't have too many defenders around it, so just reminding the opponent of potential danger in the long term. As we see Renato Terry bring his bishop out. Again, just one of the nice things about Title Tuesday, it's totally fair playing field. These IMs get a chance. Renato Terry in tournament chess, he'll never play Magnus. It's that simple. But here, he's 350 points outrated in classical chess. But in Title Tuesday, much, much closer. Magnus making a bit of a face there. Not so happy about his last move. He's hinting that he might capture this very strong knight, but that would cost black his fianchettoed bishop. You nearly never want to trade that one off in any of these King's Indian type of openings. Renato Terry making a very calm pawn move. I have a feeling, Kaya, this is going to become a real time scramble. This is the closest it's been in any of Magnus's games so far today.
Terry is better on the eval bar. Magnus has to fight now in this game for the first time today. This is round 5 out of 11. Bunch of questions in the YouTube chat. Is Fabi playing? Is Hans Niemann playing? Is Bluebound playing? A lot of players traveling today from the Grand Swiss, and Fabi also not playing. I'm not sure the reason for that, but we do have players like Keimer. He's playing, even if he's been traveling.
Yeah, Vincent Keimer, Alexander Grishchuk, Parham Maghsoodloo. We've got some players who did decide to take the jump and made time for Title Tuesday despite their exertions out there in Uzbekistan at the Grand Swiss. Magnus, in the meantime, still worse according to the eval bar. That's probably because the dark squares around his king are a bit weak. Imagine a bishop posting up near the king later, followed by a queen landing on g7 in front of it. There is potential danger in this position, but Renato Terry has dropped low on time. Sometimes that's the problem with having a good position. You want to be perfect. Like Johann Sebastian in the earlier game, you want to be perfect. You just don't have time to back it up. And okay, the camera not quite freezing. Renato just that calm, that ice cold right now, trades off a set of rooks. Maybe the white queen will come back now. Maybe we'll see the pawn step forward instead, attacking this little foot soldier in the corner. Looking very, very nice for white, I must say. The bishop's about to post up on the long diagonal as well, making Magnus remember that he's parted with his dark squared bishop, and this one very nice for white. The queen, though, is a bit trapped, so that's the only pitfall to look out for later.
All right, and the bar now swings over to Magnus' side. He is for the first time better in this game.
Bit of a shake of the head, though, from Magnus Carlsen. The black rook coming in. That's the reason he's slightly better now with black. Maybe it was actually more accurate, there we go, to trade off those rooks a couple of moves ago beforehand. Before the bishop had moved, he lost a bit of time there, Renato Terry. Now the black queen gets the chance to dive into white's camp. This is turning while the white queen is offside. She's off still in Uzbekistan. She forgot to catch that flight. The white queen back to civilization. And now it might be the black queen's turn to jump in with some nasty checks. Magnus doesn't take that opportunity, though. He's trying to keep control. Okay, Magnus is in flagging mood. That is for certain. His last move gives it away. Magnus wants to win this game on time. And here we go. The white queen corrects herself, gets into the position a bit more. Ooh. White's position looking fantastic again, but the clock situation, Kaya, it's going to decide this game most likely again.
Under 1 minute. Meanwhile, Hikaru Nakamura has won his round 5 game. He is now on 4 points, and he is fighting still to win Title Tuesday Game Week 3. But this one, Magnus Carlsen is playing fast, and that could get him the win in this game.
Magnus has a clear plan now. He's going to start trying to bring his king forward. There are holes on the white, on that right side of the board. Those white pawns are doomed. They have no defenders around, and that white queen still stuck. And okay, he's trying to get that queen into the game now, attacking this pawn, but watch out. It's all about the black queen giving him some checks. Magnus is turning this position in his favor. Maybe still a draw with best play, but no time on the clock for Terry. This is going to be so difficult to hold. Magnus is the best queen endgame player of all time.
Magnus has this game exactly where he likes it. He is up on the clock and in an endgame.
Look at Terry's face. He's like, oh, please,
Yeah.
draw, go on. perpetual check. And black can force a draw if he wants. Magnus can keep checking the white king forever, but he's going to most likely go for checkmate at some point. Renato Terry, I'm not sure if he's streaming or not. He is well known as a streamer in his own right. But he seems to be talking to himself, maybe asking Magnus when that draw is going to happen. Magnus, look at that. He's giving all the checks, but not repeating the position yet. What will he do to keep this game going?
Is Magnus now playing on the clock, on Terry's clock?
Definitely. Magnus has not made any progress. He can actually force a draw any time he wants. But there we go. He keeps the game alive. He makes sure the position doesn't repeat himself. He defends a pawn with his king. And now he'll give 20 more checks, burn Terry's clock a little bit more, and then he'll play a different move, maybe bring the king even further in. No, he takes a pawn instead. White's now better, but Magnus doesn't care about playing the best moves. It's all about that clock. It's gone red. 9 seconds now. The H-pawn is moving. This is a race against time. Magnus is taking huge risk on the board.
Whoa. Remember, no increment. The clock is about to run out for Terry. Oh, 7 seconds.
Yeah, the pawn drops as well. Magnus continues giving the checks, takes another pawn off the board. He's going to move his king now, and another pawn is going to start pushing. It's this one in the near future. It's going to run down the board. 2 seconds for white. No chance to get this game, to solve it now. Magnus leans back. He knows he's about to win on time. 2 seconds. That time is done. Magnus takes the win.
Magnus Carlsen, again, another win. He's on a perfect score. Terry runs out of time, and he's also lost on the board. A great win there for Magnus Carlsen against a fantastic international master. Whew, that was intense, David, going down to seconds, and eventually Magnus winning on time. Will he be happy with this game?
Magnus will be happy. He knows he didn't play his best. He didn't outplay Terry at all, really. Terry held his own, but Magnus was always ahead on time, always had a draw in his pocket. If he wanted to, he could have bailed out. And ultimately, against these speed specialists, you have to do it. You have to get it done by some means or other. So Magnus did what was needed. That was enough. And
we're down to 4 players now, still with a perfect score after 5 rounds. Magnus Carlsen, Jan Christoph Duda, Ibrahim Lee, and Andrew Tang, all on 5 out of 5. And we will see Magnus against Tang in the next round. Okay, that's a cool one.
Yeah, that's a cool one. Magnus earlier played the bird opening. Now he's up against the penguin GM, as Andrew Tang calls himself. So let's jump to that game. Magnus Carlsen against another speed specialist. Andrew Tang, strong grandmaster, not one of the elite though, unless you count online chess. And that's what we're playing today. So Andrew Tang, let's see if he can get the job done.
Let's see if he can get the job done. Let's see if we still have players on perfect score after round 6. We do have now 4 players on 5 out of 5. Remember that top 10 players score points on the Champions Chess Tour leaderboards. That's why you see top 10 players here are marked with green. That's what it's all about, scoring points on the Champions Chess Tour leaderboards. Top 6 players at the end of the season will qualify for the Esports World Cup. All right, here we have Magnus, already slightly better against Tang here in round 6.
Yeah, some quick moves as we catch up here. Magnus is down on time. That's one feature. Magnus is also down in terms of pawns. He earlier sacrificed Harry the H-pawn, gave it up, as he instead fights for an open line, making it very difficult for Black's king to castle in that direction. The white queen is cutting across the board as well. So Andrew Tang is trying to kind of consolidate here, solidify by trading off those queens. Magnus has taken big risks at the start of this game. Will they pay off? He jumps in with his bishop, big threat to take that knight, which jumps. And fascinating position, actually. Definitely opening prep from one of the two. More likely Andrew Tang here, who's barely used any time on his clock. Will Magnus find himself in trouble for the first time in this event, round 6? Eval Bar says Black is better. How does Magnus feel about his position? If Black gets one more move and takes that bishop, I was going to say it had to jump away. There, Andrew Tang would have been happy, but here we go. Queen trade is imminent. Magnus has got the 2 bishops as compensation as he attacks this Black knight. And the clock time, we'll keep an eye on that one. Andrew Tang, for those of you who aren't so familiar, he does stream a lot. He's known as the fastest fingers in the West because he's a specialist at bullet chess, hyper bullet as well, ultra bullet, 15-second chess, 30-second chess, you name it, he's done it. He's just so speedy. You can't flag him. If it's 10 seconds against 10 seconds, Magnus is actually a big underdog.
Really?
So we'll see if it gets to that stage.
In those games, do you always win on the clock, or can you actually make checkmates happen?
Most mere mortals just try to win on the clock.
Okay.
Andrew Tang wins on the board and the clock. which is
Really?
incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, I've played him multiple times in bullet chess, and I gave up because it was just too difficult. He's just so fast. And actually, he's going to be very happy with his position. Slightly better according to the eval bar for black. That's because black is a pawn up, as we see the white king move. Interesting reluctance to trade queens on the opponent's terms. If black takes off the queen, white gets double pawns, but white also gets the open b file for later. And meanwhile, if white takes off the queens, then the black pawn replaces it, hitting the white knight, gaining time. So a bit of a standoff now between those two powerful pieces as the black knights start to relocate. This game, it feels like it's the calm before the storm. Andrew Tang, there we see him on the camera appear for the first time. I'm not going to comment on the the six-pack of toilet roll behind him.
He had those the first, the game week one as well. We watched a game with Andrew Tang, and those exact six rolls of toilet paper were there.
He hasn't been to the bathroom in 2 weeks. Still six rolls left. I know that tickled Simon Williams' sense of humor there.
Yeah.
Yeah, fascinating position on the board. And Andrew Tang looks locked in. I think he was one of the first people who made it really popular to train with the mouse, train mouse speed. He's been on stream kind of playing those games where you're clicking the mouse as fast as you can, as many kind of hits, clicks as you can in a second. And I think multiple players have copied, followed suit. In the meantime, he's trying to trade off a pawn, up 10 seconds. Magnus happy to trade off those pawns. This is definitely the toughest position Magnus has found himself in so far today. If he wants 100%, this is where he needs to keep winning. Andrew Tang, do not underestimate him. They've had some great battles over the years. And okay, Magnus thinking for a long time now. I'm expecting him to trade off queens sooner rather than later. You don't want that tension for long. It kind of cripples you, makes you a bit immobilized on that left flank. You can't do much while the queens sit on the board. Maybe he can trade, followed by jumping in with the white knight. You can trade. Okay, he jumps in with the white knight first. He's taking more pieces off the board, though, when he's a pawn down. Magnus Carlsen, reluctant decision. He's also down nearly 40 seconds on the clock. As he takes a sip of his drink, he's given up with that big water. And Magnus graduating to harder stuff there. But the bishop steps back. Yeah, I do think Magnus is in trouble, actually. Just,
Really?
in practical terms, down so much on the clock against a speedy guy and down a pawn. White's only compensation